To the Honorable Mark DeWitt, Chairman and members of the Hawkins County Board of Commission in regular session met this 19th day of December 2022. Excuse me, resolution in reference to purchase of real estate in Churchill, Tennessee using ARPA grant funds. Whereas the Hawkins County office holders, including the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department, the Hawkins County Clerk, the Hawkins County Juvenile Court, Hawkins County Clerk, and the County Court Clerk, and the Hawkins County Trustee are currently occupying space in what is known as the City County Building in Churchill, Tennessee. Whereas, per a lease agreement dated August 19, 1975, the Hawkins County became a tenant in said building owned by Churchill and is responsible for 50% of the cost of operation of the building and 100% of all major capital repairs and maintenance, which would be a significant expenditure currently. And whereas through negotiations between Hawkins County and Churchill, the Churchill Board of Mayor and Alderman had indicated they are willing to assume all costs of said building and allow Hawkins County to move its offices elsewhere, creating more and safer space for Churchill and for Hawkins County. Whereas the Thread Bank, formerly known as Citizens Bank, is operating an unused building and associated property on 150 South Central Avenue, Churchill, Tennessee, map 044A, B parcel 003.00 with a total tax value of $1.061,700,000 to Hawkins County for the sum of $550,000. And whereas the Hawkins County desires to purchase the above-named property for occupancy, hire, and use of the above-named office holders and their staff using funds from the county's American Rescue Plan Act's proceeds. Now therefore be it resolved that the Hawkins County Commission meeting in regular session on Monday, December 19, 2022, hereby authorize the purchase and directs the Hawkins County Mayor to execute all necessary documents pursuant thereto. And therefore be it further resolved that approval be given for the following budget amendments to the other special revenue funds, 128 ARPA. Special Revenue Fund 128 ARPA increase 47901 American Rescue Plan Act $550,000, increase expenditure 588,31799, other capital outlay $550,000. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
All right, we've got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Barker, a second by Commissioner Kern. Now, jump in with your questions and discussion. Commissioner Gillum.
Yeah, so we voted on this in the Budget Committee. I was under the impression we'd be reviewing this again in January. I actually reached out to Commissioner Roach, the chairman of the Public Buildings Committee, and asked if we could have a public buildings meeting next month at that building so that we would have a public meeting there. The committee would make sure that everyone's looked at it, even people in the public, if they wanted to, could come look at it. And I think it would be better if we present this in January and make sure that everybody has ample time to look at it. You all have been very inviting to ask us to come up there. However, everybody's schedules don't work that way, and it would be good at a regular scheduled committee meeting to do that. And for that reason, I ask that we put this off to January.
Understand. Let me respond to that point. It wasn't, I don't think, ever specifically said we would wait till January to do it. I was authorized to go ahead and present a $550,000 offer to them, an unofficial handshake agreement that's what we would be willing to pay for it. They indicated that they wanted to move on it and know something before the end of the year. We've been sitting on this since September, and they have, the right to sell it to anyone else. So I went ahead and did that, and the officials from Thread Bank said that they would appreciate it if we did an out-of-order resolution this month. So that's what I went with, but I'd be willing to listen to any other side of it. Commissioner Rhodes.
Mr. Mayor, I think I've wrapped my head around the need for the building. I guess as someone who's never been to the Churchill satellite office, I wasn't aware of how much work needed to be done. And it seems that there is quite a bit that needs to be done. I guess my question though is I prefer not to buy a pig in the poke if we can help it. And if we're going to buy a new building, has there been any inspections done, any building inspections by a certified inspector that you're aware of?
No, their offer is as is, where is. it's a used building. You're never gonna get a clean inspection, probably even on a brand new building.
Well, you know,
I'm sure that there are expenses that will incur down the road, just like we would on any county building.
and I guess that I understand that point. You know, the only thing is, I've at this point bought 2 or 3 houses, and the one thing that the bank always makes me do is get an inspection.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't build houses, I have no idea, I can barely paint a wall. So I don't know, if I go look at a building, I'm not gonna know whether it's gonna be a good
Right.
purchase or not. So, I know that we're kind of up against a deadline based on the seller, and I hate to be the guy that says, there's a really great deal on the table, and we need to wait and we lose it. However, I still am a little bit concerned that, there could be underlying issues that none of us are qualified, with the exception of maybe Mr. Thacker, who's put roofs on all his life. You know, I don't know that I'm qualified to say that it's a good purchase or not. So, I would ask if it's possible, if the resolution needs to pass tonight, and in order to make this deal, I would even be willing to offer an amendment that just simply says, at the end of the section where it authorizes the mayor's office to complete all paperwork, just offer the phrase pending a passing appraisal, and then, I know that it's gonna cost money to do, or not appraisal, excuse me, pending a passing, inspection. And I know that it is gonna cost a little bit extra money to do that, but I think I feel like I would be a little more confident if I knew that we were buying a building that was in good service, a good order, and understanding it's gonna have some issues, but foundation issues, major roofing issues, structural issues, those are things that I worry about.
I can't say I disagree with that, but then you need to look a step further and say, what is a passing inspection? What amount of money are we going to feel comfortable with fixing any major issue on it? Yeah, and I see both ways. Let's go on with the comments, and then we'll speak further to that, if you don't care. Commissioner Gillum.
Yeah, so, I think that's a really good point, Commissioner Roach, what you just said about, having some type of inspection done, even if, so maybe it's still a good deal to buy it, but at least we know what we're getting. I think that's a good point, number one. Number two, for those of you who have been up there, you're probably very comfortable voting for this, and if you're for it or against it. For those of us who haven't, I would just, if you haven't been up there to look at it yourself, I would caution you against voting in favor of this, because if it's a lemon, it's gonna come back on this body, where, it could be another Justice Center with the roof leaking, right? Just a weekend after we got it, so, or opened it. So I would just caution you to make sure you do your due diligence. I respect the mayor's office and wanting to move on this deal. And to be honest with you, I probably support buying this building. However, me, myself, I cannot vote yes on this tonight because I haven't looked at it myself, and I don't feel comfortable doing that tonight.
Okay.
Good one.
Commissioner Barrett. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Thacker.
That building was built in 1956. It was built on a concrete slab. So I'm assuming the foundation is solid. But as I was telling the mayor this afternoon, I do know that it's got standing thing smell. And a few months ago, there was some of the panels that had slid down past the gutter. You can see it from the top, and you can see it hanging over the gutter. Now that indicates that whoever put that roof on didn't put enough clips in it, because there's no screws in the metal. It's clips that hold it on, and they was not tight enough to hold the roof on, because several of them slid down. I'm saying 6 you can see it in the house. Now, and of course they got it fixed. I just don't know how much of the other rest of the roof is gonna be the same way in the future. It may or may not, it may never. Because I'm not against it. I'm like Josh, Danny, and some others, I'm for it. I'm not been in the building years and years. I would like to do it.
I just want to comment, you know, it seems to me like everybody's saying that I'm pushing this through and I'm not. I'm doing what Fred Bank has asked me to do, and it's your all's decision as to whether to move forward. To me, you know, I understand your points. I really understand your points. I understand Fred Bank's points. You know, they want to be able to move forward with it. We've been on it since September, and you know, what they accept as far as an extension into January will be up to them. So I just want to make that point. Commissioner Barrett.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I'm kind of like a lot of the other commissioners. I've been up to look at the building, but as far as being able to go inside the building, I'd like to go inside the building and look at it inside. $550,000 that's a lot of money to basically vote on, for me personally, not seeing the inside of the building. I would be curious if it has asbestos and things like that in the floors, in the walls, and I do have reservations about casting a vote without actually looking at it. And I'm just curious, out of 14 commissioners, how many commissioners here have actually been inside the building within the past 30 days?
You can stretch it out longer than 30 days if you don't mind, Commissioner Barrett, because we've been looking at it since September. Who all's been in the building? Three and me, and Nancy.
I've been in both ways.
I just, I guess I just have reservations because I know, several years ago, the county purchased the Kmart building and made a jail out of it, and there was issues with concrete, there was issues with the water supply, the pumps and stuff. I just want the county commission to
Understand.
do
How many have been in the current city county building?
Years.
Okay. Just curious. Anything else, Commissioner Barrett?
No, sir, that's all.
All right, Commissioner Clones.
Mr. Chairman, I would vote for this tonight because, one, having 30 years experience in real estate, I think that at the price that you're suggesting, is a good price. Now, I haven't been in the building. I'm not a carpenter or contractor. But, I know what property selling for, and I can't touch it maybe in a minute. So, I will vote for this tonight. And I suggest this, having bought a property from Red Bank, when they say they want to finish this up by the end of the year, I think they mean it, and we'll be left out.
Okay, anything else? Commissioner Barker.
No, I'd just like to say that, we've had an opportunity since September to go up and look at the bank, and now all of a sudden everybody needs to go up and look at the bank. So I think if we're gonna do that, we need to set a deadline for them to do that. And if you don't go by that point, then, evidently you didn't have enough interest in it.
Commissioner Gibson.
Just one thing I wanted to speak to on the Golden Ridge Simona was in the same resolution that we passed earlier about the drive-through use for Hawkins County staff of the First Community Bank. I think it's also important to note that this building will give us the same level of services at the other satellite location for all the other advantages that we talked about, and I know we have some questions about who's been and seen the building, but like what Commissioner Plant said, the price that we're looking at getting this for, I think I'm ready to take a vote on this as well.
All right, Commissioner Thacker.
I was just wondering if it would be possible to, schedule a meeting in the next week or so for all the building committee and any other commissioners that want to attend, to be at that location, look at it, and we can go ahead and vote on this tonight, but if it met all those, speculations that we were thinking about, and it meets the building committee code, then you can follow through with it. If not, we can rescind it.
I'm open to that. I don't know that we could do it within the next week, being a holiday week. Probably be right after the first of the year. But I'm open to whatever y'all want to do. Again, I am not trying to force this issue on anybody. It's your all's decision, so. Commissioner Roach?
Okay, so, like I said, just to make this point, if I walked through the building and looked at it with a flashlight and a microscope, I still will not be able to tell you whether it's a good purchase or not, because I'm not an inspector, I'm not a builder. I would love to see it. I want to walk through it, I've not, and I'll be the first to tell you that I've not set that up with my But, Mr. Phillips, I guess I would ask you a question. If we were to offer an amendment to the resolution that stated something to the tune of, for the mayor's office to hire an inspector to perform a licensed inspection of the building, and then delegate the authority to accept that inspection to the Public Buildings Committee, would that be legal? Could the Public Buildings Committee be the body that accepts that inspection report in lieu of the commission, if the commission gives the Public Buildings Committee the authority to do so?
You could delegate it, but I still think the commission would have to have a full vote to approve the purchase.
My thought is they could say, that we accept the inspection, but then the budget committee is gonna have to be able to say, yeah, we can spend that much more money
On the cost of the
on
inspection?
the
itself?
cost, on the cost of
Of
the
the
repairs of the building.
Well, I mean, isn't that response kind of the tail though? I mean, if we have an inspection and we decide that there's more money that needs to be spent on it, then we need to buy it without an inspection to start with. I
Look
mean,
at it
I think-
several different ways.
I think therein is our problem. If we get an inspection that, and please understand, I agree with everyone that I'm okay with the building. I've wrestled with it. I think the building is needed. I think to get the current facility up to ADA code, I get it. It's gonna cost a lot of money. It's gonna take a lot of effort. I think buying this building is a good idea. My only concern is, you're right, I've not looked at it. But once again, whether I look at it or not, I'm not a house or a commercial building
Right,
builder anyway.
right.
So I just, if the commission wants to vote on it tonight, I guess I'll just have to burn through my decision when that vote comes. But I do want the building. I would love a little bit more assurance that what we're getting is rightful money. So with that said, Mr. Chairman, I guess I'm out of point on it.
Okay. Mr. Barker? Not yet. Hang on. Mr.
Okay.
Barker?
So what if we amended this resolution to state, the cause of inspection to be made on the property and present results to the county commission at its meeting January 2023, at which time a decision will be made on final purchase of said building?
I mean, that's what everybody, I think, is pretty much asking for. I think
You making that as a form of a motion, Mr. Barker? Okay, we've got a motion on the floor to amend it as Commissioner Barker has read it.
Mr. Chairman, could you not just make a motion to not to table it, but to, I don't know the exact wording, I haven't got my book open, but that way, just suspend the motion until the January commission meeting, and that way we could just leave it as written.
I think it could probably go
That-
either
that way
way.
you
I'm
don't have to
not
amend it.
clear on that rule either.
Who gave me the
Barker, you saying, during that time we, if we need one or two, you can go up and inspect the building.
Sure. Yeah, that's open at any time. That's open anytime. Commissioner Barker has the resolution as amended, if you'd like to see it.
There.
Commissioner Gibson?
I was actually asking, when I asked Mr. Barker to restate that motion, but
Okay.
I'll read it so.
Commissioner Barrett?
I was just curious, Mark, could we entertain the thought of putting a binder on it to where we would have the option of offering the binder?
I'm sure we could, that would be up to Fred Bank whether or not they wanted to accept something like that, but, okay, let's back up. We've got a motion on the floor to amend it. And they're getting it in the computer. Do I have a second on the motion, the resolution as amended?
Can you read that?
Tom, is that you?
Yes.
Okay. So now we've got it on the floor, we can discuss the amended version if you'd like. Commissioner Barrett? Oh, you asked?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not 100% familiar with the way all of that works either. That would be up to Fred Bank whether or not they wanted to accept a binder or accept just a good faith agreement that we are looking further. My contact with Fred Bank was Fred Crawford. He retired last week. I met the two gentlemen who are going to handle the negotiations from here on out. Neither one of them is in town, so I'd have to make phone calls, et cetera, and see how they want to proceed, but I can certainly do that.
Mr. Mayor, would you have the ability to hire an inspector?
Yeah. Commissioner Gill.
That's what I was gonna ask is, this gives you the ability to hire
It
an
gives
inspector.
me the authority to hire an building inspector.
And I think, to be clear, let's say they come back and there is some problem with the building, we may still wanna buy it then, but at least then we know if there is more money, because then the question is what, do we want to use more ARPA money to pay for those repairs or whatnot? I think this is a fair amendment, I think is what I'm trying to
Success
say.
rule for me.
We already got it, they accepted the offer, they were asking us 68, right?
They were asking, it was actually listed at $655,000. They offered it to us for $585,000. And at the budget committee meeting last week, I was given the authority to go ahead and offer $550.
Did you make that offer?
I did,
So, yeah, they very good.
yes, they approved it. Subject to county commission approval. It was not, I mean, don't misconstrue the fact that it was not a formal written offer. I sent an email back to Frank Prophet and I said, they said that we likely could go 550. And coincidentally, the two folks from Thread Bank were in town the next day. They informally accepted that offer. I met them at the Chamber of Commerce breakfast the day after that. And of course, they're excited and ready to get rolling and getting it out of the way. They also have something else that hadn't been brought up, just as an aside. There's an automatic teller machine on the premises that the Thread Bank folks talked to me about. They said they could take it out or they could actually service it for us and have another convenience for folks that didn't want to pay maybe a card fee to buy their tags and such. So that's another, it's small, but it's another perk.
I know this, like any property you buy, you're gonna have to spend money. Despite what you think you would.
All right, Commissioner Thacker, you have something else to add?
Well, I just want to say that I'm all for buying the building. I think we need to look at it first, have a look at it before, or maybe inspect it, before we make a final decision.
Okay.
I hope it will.
So are we ready to vote on the amendment?
You need to read it again.
Everybody's got a copy.
Okay.
Unless somebody needs it reread. Okay, this vote is on the amendment itself, not on the resolution, just on the amendment. Let's go ahead and vote.
13 yes, 1 no.
Okay, so the amendment passes. Now, are you ready to vote on the resolution as amended?
Yeah.
Is there any further discussion? Let them be caught up. Okay, so this is voting on the resolution as amended to include the building inspection. So let's go ahead and vote, please.
Yes.
Okay, I'll move forward and get an inspection started on it and keep you all apprised of what's going on. We'll have that information for you at the January meeting.